My gold-digging wife thought she successfully trapped a broke, miserable man in a remote cabin, but she didn't know the thermal security cameras I secretly installed had caught her and someone else watching me from the dark woods for the last 3 years. And last night, the forest camera sent an alert from inside my own locked basement. Until last month, I was Ethan, a quiet, isolated guy living in a dilapidated, drafty wooden cabin in the freezing forests of Maine. I made a meager $28,000 a year, writing basic technical manuals online. My wife of 4 years, Chloe, made my life a living hell. She despised our financial gridlock. Every single day, she reminded me how her friends were marrying wealthy corporate executives, going on luxury cruises, and living in million-dollar penthouses, while she was trapped in the middle of nowhere with a loser. I felt a deep, fatal sense of failure. Out of pure love, I skipped meals, took sleepless night shifts, and tolerated her constant humiliations just to keep her happy. But 3 months ago, the atmosphere in our tiny cabin shifted. The screaming stopped. A chilling, cold indifference took over. That's when Chloe's unexplained disappearances began. She would claim she was driving to the distant town for grocery runs at 7 p.m. and return at 2 a.m., smelling of incredibly expensive, exotic perfume. Every time her phone buzzed in the dead of winter nights, a violent shiver ran down my spine. She started keeping her phone face down, protected by a complex new passcode. The isolation of the cabin turned into a suffocating psychological trap. It was a freezing, snow-heavy Friday afternoon. Chloe had left for a supposed dentist appointment in the city. The cabin was ice cold, so I went to the storage closet to grab my heavy winter hunting boots, the ones I hadn't touched in over 2 years. As I reached inside the thick insulation of the left boot, my fingers brushed against something hard, square, and metallic, glued deep near the toe. I ripped the lining apart. It was a tiny, high-tech, black magnetic tracking device with a faintly blinking red light. My body went completely numb. It was a chilling discovery. Why was my wife tracking my exact location? I was a remote worker who barely left the cabin except to chop wood. What was she so terrified I would find out? Or worse, what was she doing while she knew I was safely away? Instead of confronting her, I chose to play her own twisted game. I left the boots exactly where they were, walked on foot through the snow to the nearest ranger station, and used my phone to log into our shared home server. Chloe had left her tablet connected to the network. That's when the forbidden truth shattered my world. The network logs revealed explicit, disgusting messages between Chloe and a man named Julian, a flashy, multi-millionaire resort owner from the city. They had been sleeping together in Julian's luxury hotels while I chopped wood in the freezing cold. But one specific text made my blood boil. Julian wrote, "Is the mountain idiot still at the cabin?" And Chloe replied, "Yes, my tracker shows his boots haven't moved an inch. Come over, the woods are clear." They thought they were destroying a poor, broken man's dignity. But as I sat in that ranger station, a dark, dangerous smile crept onto my face. They had absolutely no idea who they were actually messing with. Everyone in my life knew me as Ethan, the struggling writer. But my legal name is Ethan Vanguard III. Yes, that Vanguard family. My grandfather was the pioneer of one of the largest shipping and logistical empires in North America. When he passed away, he left me a private, heavily guarded trust fund worth $1.4 billion. But his will carried a strict, absolute condition. I could not access a single penny of that wealth until my 30th birthday, or until I had been married for 5 consecutive years to a woman who loved me for my soul, not my inheritance. He wanted to shield me from parasites. My 30th birthday was exactly 48 hours away. I had already planned to surprise Chloe on my birthday by unveiling a custom-built modern mansion overlooking the Pacific Ocean and giving her absolute financial freedom. But her greed couldn't wait 2 more days. She traded a lifetime of true devotion for a flashy resort owner. I didn't storm back to the cabin. I didn't cry. I used a secure, untraceable burner phone to contact the Vanguard family's elite team of corporate and divorce attorneys. I forwarded them the texts, the tracker serial numbers, and concrete digital evidence of her infidelity. Because Maine has incredibly strict, ironclad laws regarding prenuptial agreements and marital asset protection, her betrayal meant she was legally entitled to exactly $0. On the morning of my 30th birthday, The snow stormed heavily outside. Chloe acted completely oblivious. She didn't wish me a happy birthday. She simply grabbed her coat, saying she had a real estate meeting in town. I calmly sat by the fireplace, sipping black coffee, and said, "Stay, Chloe. I know about the tracker in my hunting boots. And I know about Julian." She froze instantly. The color drained from her face, leaving her completely pale. Her hands shook violently as she dropped her car keys. She immediately tried to spin a web of lies, whispering, "Ethan, please. It's not what it looks like. The isolation out here was driving me crazy. You never provided the life I deserved." "I know," I replied, my voice dangerously calm. "You wanted a man with boundless wealth." Right at that exact second, the heavy wooden door of the cabin was practically rattled off its hinges by a loud, commanding knock. I opened it. Standing in the freezing snow were three massive men in tailored dark coats, my family's private security detail, and my primary estate trustee holding a titanium briefcase. They stepped into the rustic cabin, completely altering the atmosphere. The trustee bowed deeply. "Happy 30th birthday, Mr. Vanguard. The trust restrictions expired at 8 a.m. Your accounts are fully unlocked." Chloe's eyes went completely wide. "Mr. Vanguard? Trust? What are you talking about?" My lawyer stepped forward, pulled out an official, certified bank document, and slammed it onto the table. The active liquid balance on the front page read, $1,408,920,000. "Chloe," I said, my voice echoing with absolute authority. "Meet my real self. I am a billionaire. This broke, miserable cabin life. It was the ultimate test. And today was the day I was going to hand you the deed to a $20 million estate. You failed." She stared at the staggering numbers, then at the security team, and literally collapsed to the floor. She began weeping hysterically, crawling toward me, grabbing my legs, begging for forgiveness, screaming that Julian meant nothing to her. "It's over," I said coldly. My security team pulled her away as the lawyer handed her the immediate eviction and divorce papers. She was cast out into the freezing storm with nothing but the clothes on her back. That was 3 weeks ago. I immediately sold the cabin, moved into a multi-million-dollar, heavily fortified penthouse suite downtown, and cut off everyone from my past. The moment Julian realized he was facing an aggressive, multi-billion-dollar legal war with the Vanguard estate, he ruthlessly dumped Chloe. She is now completely broke, publicly disgraced, and living in a tiny, rented basement room, surviving on minimum wage. It was a flawless victory. The parasite was gone. Until last night. My private security team had officially sent the confiscated hunting boot tracker to a digital forensics lab to trace its manufacturing origins and server history. They managed to download the complete location logs. As I scrolled through the data on my tablet, a cold, suffocating terror gripped my chest. Chloe's credit card statements proved she had only purchased her tracking device 3 months ago. But the forensics report showed that this specific device had been secretly embedded inside my boot, actively pinging and transmitting my exact coordinates every single second for the last 4 years. Long before Chloe and I had even met. Long before I even bought this cabin. Chloe didn't put that tracker in my boot. Someone else, someone with immense power and terrifying patience, had been calculating my every step from the very moment I entered that forest. And as I sit here tonight, in my locked, high-security penthouse on the 40th floor, the heavy, reinforced steel door of my private elevator just clicked open. Footsteps echoed softly down the pitch-black hallway. My heart hammered against my ribs. My security team was supposed to be guarding the lobby. How did someone bypass the biometric locks? I watched the shadow grow taller as it approached the living room light. I braced myself, ready for a fatal confrontation. But as the figure finally stepped into the warm glow of the fireplace, my breath caught in my throat. The terror in my chest instantly vanished, replaced by complete, staggering disbelief. It was my primary estate trustee, the very lawyer who had handed me the $1.4 billion bank statement 3 weeks ago. He was holding a glass of scotch, a calm, knowing smile on his face. Before I could even speak, his phone buzzed. At the exact same second, the final text notification chimed inside my own pocket. I looked down at my screen. The message reading, "The test isn't over yet. Ethan," had been sent from his private number. What is the meaning of this? I demanded, my voice trembling. You put that tracker in my boot 4 years ago? The lawyer sat down in the armchair opposite me and took a slow sip of his drink. I didn't put it there to hurt you, Ethan. Your grandfather did. He pulled a sealed, handwritten letter from his pocket, stamped with my grandfather's personal wax seal, and laid it on the glass table. Your grandfather knew human greed better than anyone, the lawyer said softly. He knew that a 5-year marriage condition wasn't foolproof. A clever gold digger could pretend to love you for 5 years, take half your wealth, and ruin your life. So, he hired me to monitor you from the shadows. The tracker wasn't to spy on your personal life. It was to ensure no one was plotting against you, and to see how you handled extreme financial distress. The lawyer stood up, buttoning his tailored coat. The tracker showed your absolute integrity. You never broke the rules. And when your wife betrayed you, the tracker gave us the exact location data we needed to build an ironclad case and save your fortune from being split in half. Your grandfather's true test wasn't just about finding love, Ethan. It was about ensuring you were strong enough to protect the Vanguard legacy. He bowed slightly, just as he had done in the cabin. The final monitoring phase is officially closed. You are completely free, Mr. Vanguard. Enjoy your life. He walked back to the elevator, the heavy steel doors sliding shut behind him. I looked at the handwritten letter on the table, then out at the glittering lights of the city below. The suffocating weight of the last 4 years finally lifted from my shoulders. There were no more hidden watchers, no more traps, and no more tests. For the first time in my life, I was completely, truly free.